Okay, up next, first is a talking tale regular, one of our favourites. Please put your hands together for Oliver Kennett!
Thank you. Must have been. Yeah, it looks a bit more storytellerish. Oh, thank you. Yes, that one. That's brilliant. Thank you. Hi, everyone. This is completely different tone to the last tale. So take a breath and clear your mind for the moment. And I just need to point out that I'm actually blind, not just lazy. That's why I didn't have people just flocking around me like some sort of self-professed rock star. Okay, so this is called Elsewhere. 1. Come with me to a summer's night on this country lane, where we walk atop the grassy ribbon that rolls out between 2 deep furrows. Look about. See the moon-minted world of the gentle wilds, where fireflies dance in meadows, and night breezes carry the scent of cut hay and sun-baked earth. It is not far from here to the village, but looking back over our shoulder into the darkness, there's not a glimmer of light from the cottages on the fringes of the village. Nor can we hear the usual clamour of voices from the Airman's Rest beer garden. It's no wonder this gateway It's no wonder that this gateway into the lands beyond is so overgrown. It is as if it doesn't exist in this world at all. Elsewhere, a kingdom sleeps. Long-fingered hands tighten straps and silver buckles, and saddle bulging bags around the muscled flanks of a snow-white horse. The raven-haired rider, purple and gold rider's cloak ripples as he mounts and urges his steed from this sleeping stable. The clop of hooves echoes in the otherwise silent courtyard. He glances back at the white towers, turrets and halls that have been his homes for as long as he can remember. It is with a heavy yet resolute heart that he turns to the west. And so the quest begins. He spurs his horse out into a night full of stars. 2. The feel of the desiccated gatepost under our fingers calls us back over the years to that elsewhere, that once upon a time summer, to when we first came here. This gate is the portal between the world of reason and a secret world of thickets, woodlands, and the elsewhere. Elsewhere, a city of the dead. The desert is white underneath the starlight. A freezing wind carries grains of sand to fetch up against the tombs, temples, and houses of the dead. The rider shivers. It is as if he is the spectre here, the wraith, the ghost, haunting from the other side of some dark veil. Clicking his tongue, he turns his horse, and they ride into the night, leaving the necropolis of pyramids to the ever-shifting sands and the desert eons. 3. Beyond the gates, we follow the line of the hedgerow that straddles a deep, dry ditch. In our young and pioneering days, we borrowed blades, improvised tools, and our own hands. We burrowed here, creating a secret place in a secret land to hide from the bewildering rules of an adult world. Elsewhere, an empire crumbles. Olive-skinned soldiers in sandals, tight tunics and steel skirts are on the march. The moonlight reflects off polished helms and wide eyes. They know that their savage civilization is falling. And from what the rider has glimpsed in the gladiatorial arenas, he is glad. He moves on west, forever west, to where she waits atop her prison. 4. And here might be a place to rest, but no, for this is not the end of our journey. For that lies beyond this copse of trees, a black mass in the moonlight. Elsewhere, a city burns. His hair is now struck through with white as he watches the fires dance. Rats, previously snug in the crevices of this city, are streaming away, eyes black with determination, long bald tails trailing in the ashes of this civilization that they brought low. The flames reflect in the tears that run silently down his weather-beaten face. He does not know who he cries for, this damned city himself. 5. On nights where the wind howled through and the walls of homes seemed as thin as paper, we would whisper of the witch that lived out beyond the gate. We would talk under blankets of sightings and how it still scuttled across the countryside, gobbling up lost, wicked children like a marzipan. Elsewhere, a metal dragon. The iron dragon, a tangle of pipes around a great barrel of a body, lets out an exultant scream and exhales a great plume of steam. The rider's hair is now the colour of his mount. He gallops alongside the dragon and gazes in at the poor souls that have been swallowed by this leviathan. They peer back through a membrane of polished glass, their newspapers, packed lunches, and fellow passengers forgotten. 6. After a time, even children stopped going beyond the gate, drawn away by the exciting world that was unfolding beyond the lane, where civilization was exploding with new ideas, new mysteries, and, even better, new answers. The mystery that stands tall beyond the gate could wait, and this was how the soft silence of the countryside swallowed its last ancient secrets. We hurry forward, eager to see the tower with no windows and no doors, and to gaze up at the spectre that faces east, forever east, as if waiting for something, for someone. We might even stretch out a tentative finger, and as we did as children, and touch the hair that falls in long dark tresses from the top of the tower. Elsewhere, a world at war. A moon, clotted with blood, glares down on a field of horror. Metal serpents in the hands of men chatter fire. Slow-moving behemoths belch smoke and crush the bodies of the fallen beneath glistening, clanking tracks. A flash of white, and the rider appears. A silver sword held high, slicing down to either side. The horse's hooves kicking high and cracking skulls. Over the thunder of battle, the scream of men for their God, for their mothers. No one can hear the rider's roar of frustration, nor does the rider hear the scream of the great white horse that now runs with red. 7. We hurry around the last thick tree trunk, and it is before us. Our feet scuff into stillness, and we look up and up at the tower, still huge, even from the perspective of grown-up eyes. But now, all that dwells there are moon shadows and night gusts. As if in a viscous nightmare, we move to the tower's blank base. A single filament, a white strand lingers. It alternately lays itself upon the stone, and then, with the nearest breeze, it lifts, twists, describes long serpentine motions before finding rest once again. We reach out and pinch it from the air. In this strange moment, the white hair seems to stretch on forever, though now it has no end, and devoid of the mystery that it was to which it was once attached. She is gone, Elsewhere, journey's end. The rider, long since having become the walker on that fateful night so many years ago, sits hunched over a wood-slatted table outside a tavern. His cloak of rich purple and bright gold has faded. The walker is often mistaken for an ancient beggar swaddled in a raggedy blanket. The walker squints to the west, to journey's end, but sees nothing out in the night. Maybe this quest was nothing more than a fantasy, a lie, a life wasted on shadows. With a final sigh of disappointment, the walker slowly collapses back off the bench to land in a halo of spectral white hair. In the beer garden of the Airman's Rest, someone sees, someone shouts for help, but the walker does not hear. Unseen, tucked snugly into a flower bed, packed neatly in fragrant, cool soil, the witch smiles. It had been worried about nothing after all. The girl would remain in the tower, for this was the last one, and no prince was coming to save her now. It slithers away into the deeper night. It thinks, I deserves a yummy treat. And it knows just what it will have. 9. As we make our way home, our feet and hearts heavy, fingers toying with the snow-white hair wrapped around our left wrist, we leave this mystery to the night, to the wilderness. Maybe the world was never that fairy tale that we first saw all those years ago on that soft summer night. Because we now know, in the cold, hollow chambers of our hearts, that there are no happy endings, and there never were. Epilogue. Elsewhere. A bed of tight white sheets and white wall in a room of white walls. A smell in the air that itself seems bleached of colour. He blinks slowly and turns his head. White hair, long white hair. He notices the hand neatly pocketed into his own, as if it has always belonged there.
But I was supposed to save you.
The prince's voice is cracked with age and disuse. The woman, her face lined but no less beautiful for that, raises an eyebrow and leans over the hospital bed, her cool, sweet breath tickling his ear. Well, you were taking your time. I got bored of waiting. She leans in further and lowers her voice. I escaped. As their lips meet for the first time, and, as it turns out, the very last time, neither of them see the mad glaring eye peering from beneath the door.